to look at 3 examples here, and they are on can I solve multi-step inequalities. So we're looking at solving inequalities, but with multiple steps. I want you to think about when we add or subtract to both sides, nothing changes. When we multiply or divide by a negative is the only time we would flip the inequality, and those were previous lessons. So our steps are going to be the exact same as solving equations. Draw the line, go through all your steps. The only difference would be if we multiply or divide by a negative. So here we go. Draw that line down the inequality symbol. Subtract 9 from both sides. Whatever you have on one side, you want to make sure you do to the other. The reason we do that is because this is 0, cancels out. And we have 4t is greater than 12. All I did was subtract. No need to do anything with the inequality symbol. And now we have 4 times t. And to get t all by itself, the inverse is divide. When I divide both sides by a positive 4, so my inequality is not changing. We have 1t on the left and 3 on the right. And so 1t is greater than 3. So t is greater than 3. Whatever the value is for t, it has to be bigger than the number 3. Graphing would be the same process. We're going to focus on just solving multi-step today instead of graphing. Let's go ahead and look at example 2. Example 2, we have 3 open parentheses, t plus 1 close parentheses, minus a 4t is greater than or equal to negative 5. Kind of looks like a lot here, but draw your line down the inequality symbol. Change your subtraction to add a negative. So step 1, step 2, step 3, do I have the distributive property? Yes, I do. Let's distribute to everything inside the parentheses. So I have 3t plus 3 plus a negative 4t is greater than or equal to negative 5. And now step 4 is your like terms. So on the left side, I have like terms, 3t and a negative 4t. So it's going to be a negative 1t plus 3 greater than or equal to negative 5. Now we're going to start to move. And when we start to move, this is when we're looking for those inverse operations. So to get the 3 to the other side, the opposite of a plus 3 would be take away 3. Whatever I do to one side, we do to the other. This is 0. So I have a negative 1t less than or equal to. I did not multiply or divide by a negative. I subtracted. So we do not change our inequality symbol. A negative 5 minus 3 would be a negative 8. Please use your calculator. We don't want to make silly mistakes here. And now we are going to divide both sides by a negative 1. Yes, I just said divide, and I said by a negative 1. Flip the inequality. Do it now so we don't forget. And we are left with a 1t is less than or equal to a positive 8. So again, you can see right where I divided by a negative, and that's right where I flipped the inequality. Let's go ahead and look at our last example, multi-steps. This problem, I loved it. It had everything in it. It had step 1 through step 5. Let's look at another one. Last example, 6n minus 1 is greater than 3n plus 8. Let's go ahead and get our line drawn down the inequality symbol. Step 2, change all of our subtraction to add the opposite. I cannot stress enough the importance behind that. I do not have the distributive property. I do not have like terms on the same side, so we are going to go ahead and start to move. I like to move the smaller term that has a variable. So I'm going to subtract my 3n from both sides. Whatever we do to one side, we do to the other. We moved the entire term, the 3 and the n. And so 6n take away 3n is 3n plus a negative 1 is greater than a positive 8. Now we got our terms together. We got that have the same letter. So we moved our 3n to get our 6n minus 3n, get those terms together. So now the opposite of minus 1 would be to add 1. Whatever we do to one side, we want to do to the other. We're left with 3n is greater than 9. And now to get the n all by itself, the inverse of 3 times n would be divide. Whatever we do to one side, we do to the other. So we have 1n is greater than 3. What did I divide by? I divided by a positive. You do not flip the inequality symbol. Only if you multiply or divide by a negative. Those are my 3 examples for today.